Welcome to Seeds of Hope's 15 Minutes With. These candid conversations are about the hidden struggles of infertility. My name is Michelle Goldberg, and I'm the Senior Manager of Community Engagement at Jewish Community Services. The Seeds of Hope program was created to offer our community family-building services and supports. Today, we're going to talk with Elana Silber, the CEO of Sharsheret. Elana is a graduate of the Mount Sinai Hospital, City University of New York's MBA program. She joined the organization as a volunteer in its earliest days and has been a staff member since 2003. Elana has led Sharsheret's growth from a handful of volunteers to a national organization and today has overall strategic and operational responsibility for Sharsheret's staff, programs, and growth nationwide. With more than 15 years' experience in the field, Elana serves as chair of the Federal Advisory Committee on Breast Cancer in Young Women, providing advice and guidance to Secretary, HHS, and Director of Centers for Disease Control and Prevention regarding the formative research, development, implementation, and evaluation of evidence-based activities designed to prevent breast cancer, particularly among those with heightened risk, and promote the early detection and support of young women who develop the disease. Thank you for joining us today, Elana.
Thank you so much for having me. And I know that sounds very complicated, reading the bio, but basically we provide support and information to women and men and families facing breast cancer and ovarian cancer. And we work closely with the CDC, and we do provide guidance, hearing from patients about their experience and helping to improve programs for them. So that just makes it easy on what we do. But I'm really, really honored to be here today because not very often do people think that a breast cancer and an ovarian cancer organization and fertility, that I should be a guest speaker on a topic like this, but it is actually quite relevant. So I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. And yes, we are going to talk about BRCA and fertility and what you need to know. Before we jump in, because I always have so many questions, can you tell us what Sharsheret, what the organization is all about?
Okay, so first of all, Sharsheret is the Hebrew word for chain, and it symbolizes the connections that we can make for women, men, and families facing breast cancer and ovarian cancer. And those connections can be with medical professionals. It can be with information to help you address the issues that you're facing. It could be anything that you need, whether you are at risk for breast cancer, carrying a mutation, like you mentioned, BRCA, BRCA, whether you're diagnosed with breast cancer or ovarian cancer, or whether you've been diagnosed 10 years ago and you're dealing with the survivorship years. Sharsheret is that chain of support that will be there for you at every step of the experience.
Thank you.
Everything we do is free, confidential, and easily accessible from home. So if anyone is listening now and needs something, you just have to pick up the phone. You can text us, you can call us, you can email us, you can go online and do live chat. You can reach us on social media, but you don't have to go anywhere. Everything is accessible to you where you are.
And you're located in New Jersey?
So we have an office in New York and New Jersey, but we also have professional teams and boards in committees in South Florida. So in the Southeast, in the Midwest, around Chicago area, and the West Coast, where the staff is in the LA area, but we're serving people in all 50 states around the US and also now in Israel. So we have 5 offices in the United States and 1 in Israel.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. And you will serve anyone in the United States?
Yeah.
And Israel. So let's jump in and tell us what BRCA is and why it matters to fertility and family planning. And BRCA are 4 initials.
Right. So BRCA is short for breast cancer, but it's not only breast cancer. So everyone has a BRCA gene in their bodies. What we're talking about is when someone has a mutation, when the gene isn't working exactly the way it's supposed to do, and that increases your risk for cancer. If men and women both have BRCA genes, BRCA or BRCA, and the media calls it BRCA, the science world calls it BRCA. And if you carry a BRCA gene mutation, you have an increased hereditary risk for certain cancers. The most noticeable one is breast cancer, which has the highest risk for women, almost could be up to close to 80%. But it also increases your risk for ovarian cancer. And also, and since men also carry that increased risk for male breast cancer, not ovarian cancer if they're biologically male, but prostate cancer. And then for men and women, increases the risk for pancreatic cancer and melanoma. So the statistics are out there. 1 in 40 Jews of Ashkenazi descent, that's both men and women, carries a BRCA gene mutation, as compared to 1 in 400 in the general population, making Jewish families at 10 times greater risk for these hereditary cancers: breast, ovarian, prostate, pancreatic, melanoma. And so it's a really urgent concern in our community, not only for our own health, but also as we think about the next generation. And that's where fertility comes into play when you're thinking about carrying a genetic mutation. Very often we see this topic come up if a mother has had breast cancer and she's really struggled with it. And as an adult child, you've seen that, or as a child, you've seen, now you're an adult, and you find out that your mother carries a BRCA mutation. And that is why they think she developed breast cancer and she suffered. And you're about to start a family, you're thinking about your own, and you're thinking, I don't know for my own self, maybe they do, but also, is there a way to cut this gene off my family? The statistics are 1 in 40 Jews. Can we change that so that Jewish families are not at this increased risk from the general population? And with the modern technology that we have today, that is a possibility, and a very strong possibility in many families. It doesn't work 100% of the time, but basically, the way it works, the way you can cut off this gene from a specific family that maybe has been there for generations, is something called pre-implantation genetic testing. We have the ability now for people through IVF to create embryos and screen those embryos to see if they're carrying the mutation. If there are embryos that are created that do not have the mutation, then a couple can choose to implant only the embryos that do not carry the mutation. And by that procedure, they have now cut off that genetic mutation from that family. Those babies that result from that will be at the same risk of any person going out there. Look, the risk for cancer is out there, but the average person, let's say, has a risk of breast cancer at 12%. But if she carries a BRCA mutation, it's almost 80%. That's cutting the risk significantly. So we can change the trajectory of cancer in a Jewish family, in the Jewish community, and beyond. And it's not only available to Jewish families, but Sharsheret deals with patients or women who reach out to Sharsheret and say, first they call us because their family member has been diagnosed with breast cancer, or maybe they've been diagnosed with breast cancer, or maybe they found out, genetic testing has become much more accessible. It used to be patented. The Myriad company used to own the gene, which is a crazy concept. How can a pharmaceutical company or a company own a gene? But they did. And then the Supreme Court reversed it and said they could not own the gene. So that at that point, when they owned the gene, it was very hard to get genetic testing and it was very expensive. Now, there are a lot of companies that are doing genetic testing and it's more accessible and it's not financially burdensome to get genetic testing. So a family that has a history of breast cancer, ovarian cancer, pancreatic cancer, prostate cancer, very often, especially if they have Ashkenazi Jewish ancestry, one grandparent, they will be encouraged to do genetic testing. So they find out that they have a BRCA mutation. So for the purposes of fertility, if you're a young couple, and either the male person in the couple or the female person, if it's in a heterosexual couple, both should be tested for BRCA. If either one of them or both of them are, then they can now go for this procedure with IVF and PGT to try to create these babies. But it's complicated and it's emotionally very charging. So that's where Sharsheret could be helpful. First of all, we can explain the process. It's complicated. We could also explain the success rate and the times when it's not as successful and what does that mean. Sharsheret has a team of social workers and certified genetic counselors on staff that can walk you through the process. And we have an entire program built around fertility and carrying mutations, where we provide kits with information and resources and helpful materials to get you through this. If you're going through and you have to have shots for IVF, we'll give you that refrigerated bag to take, or things like that, or ice packs, things like that you need to get from the practical to the most spiritual type of things.
Mhm.
And we also have a whole video series where couples are sharing their experiences, both positive, because it is a possibility that you'll go through this entire process of PGT and maybe all the embryos still have BRCA.
Mhm.
And then there's a big dilemma. Do I implant these?
Mhm.
Maybe someone had fertility issues prior to their knowing their BRCA mutation. What do they do then? What if they can get pregnant naturally? Do they abandon those? These are all really good questions. And Sharsheret is a peer support network
Mhm.
with many, many couples who've grappled with these concepts before and can be helpful. And we have the professional team as well.
Can you tell us a little bit about who is on your professional team?
Yeah. So we have oncology social workers
Okay.
and we have genetic counselors and we have educators. So there are people that are going out into the community and sharing this information so that people are aware of it. In community, in centers like yours, where we'll do a panel discussion. So we have educators, the genetic counselors, so can speak one-on-one individually with a couple, with an individual to talk about the process, help them build their medical teams, help them what the expectations are, what does it mean, what is the cost, help with financial assistance. These are expensive procedures. We partner with many, many organizations. There are terrific fertility organizations within the Jewish community, the Jewish Fertility Foundation, there are screening organizations like J-Screen, and we work with all of them. And we can help people navigate that very, very complicated part of it, financial and also access. Where do you do it? We preface everything. You need to speak to a medical professional, no matter what Sharsheret offers you. And we have webinars and videos and a whole library of things that you can pick and choose of what really resonates with you. But at the end of the day, you also need to speak to your doctor. And and depends what you are. If you were someone who was diagnosed with cancer, also, the OBGYNs are very involved, but we can help you with what questions to ask, what information to bring to your healthcare professional. But this is a medical procedure where Sharsheret can help you navigate the emotional side, the practical side, spiritual side. Many people turn towards Jewish community when they're going through these big decisions. And then you consult with a healthcare professional because it is a medical procedure.
Yeah, that's very, very helpful information. I had a few questions for you that you've answered. I guess what I'm wondering is, when would someone with the BRCA mutation talk to a fertility specialist, and what options, and maybe you answered that with
I
IVF.
think the first step, to me, this is my dream. Someone finds out they have a mutation that increases their risk for breast cancer, ovarian. There are other ones like CHEK2, PALB2 that don't increase your risk as much, but it's still worth a conversation. I say, whenever you hear BRCA, call Sharsheret. We're going to figure out for you when's the right time to call who. Like, I think when you have all these decisions, you need a quarterback, and Sharsheret can be that quarterback. And we have experience with this. And then sometimes things come up that maybe seem new. We could do the legwork for you. So for me, the answer is you find out, or you're even considering testing for BRCA. Look, this is a complicated test because it's not like a pregnancy test where you go in and you find out you're pregnant. If you have a genetic mutation, there are all these decisions you have to make, and it doesn't just affect you. It affects your family, the men, the women, and how do you share this information? And we're also talking about the next generation. So
Right.
for me, the right thing to do is, as soon as you hear the concept or you're thinking about it, call Sharsheret. And then we will help you schedule keep track of where you've been, where you're going, what your options are. And every day, this is a very, very high interest program, and research is coming out every day on this. So it's good to Sharsheret keeps our fingers on the pulse of what is coming, and it's good to touch base with us first. Again, everything is free, confidential, easy. We're real people. While we have a lot of technology and digital resources, you're going to get a real person. You're going to get that social worker who's spoken to so many people like you. You're going to get the genetic counselor who knows anything and everything when it comes to BRCA and knows about all the options to try to prevent it, or to prevent cancer, right? There are other things that people want to know. Like, if you find out you have a mutation, besides the fertility, within the fertility, should I also be getting a double mastectomy?
Right.
Do I do that during my retrieval? Like, how does that work?
Right.
Can't take out my ovaries now. Am I going to carry the baby? Like, what is going on? So that's where Sharsheret quiets all the noise. There's a lot of information out there, and Sharsheret brings it all together and gives you reliable resources and information so you can make informed decisions and plan for your family, and that you can live and hope for a healthier future.
I love that. And just because someone has the BRCA gene doesn't mean they're going to develop breast cancer. Is that correct?
No, again, it's not like, we talk about other prenatal testing, like traditionally, like a Tay-Sachs, a situation if both parents carry Tay-Sachs gene and then they check the baby. If the baby carries the mutation, they most certainly will be diagnosed with Tay-Sachs. With cancer, it's different. It's not, it's a high risk. It's up to 80% chance. But it's a very emotional decision also, because if you've seen someone suffer and you think there's something you can do to prevent it,
Yeah.
maybe that's something that you should consider. But
Yeah.
again, it's not for every single person, and those who choose not to do it are not making a mistake. This
Right.
is not a one size fits all.
Right,
This is a
right.
very personal decision, and that's what I think is also special about Sharsheret. You're the only person in the room when you call, and you can be yourself, and there's no judgment. If you choose to do it, if you don't choose to do it, these are complicated decisions. And generally, if you have a partner, you're not making these decisions on your own. So there's all that communication, and we can help with that. And also, it's a whole new language. So we can help explain it to you when your doctors give you stuff. People come out of the doctor's office all the time and they'll come to us and they'll say, my doctor said I could do choice A or choice B, but what does that mean?
Right.
And we explain to them what are the pluses, and we can also connect them with other individuals who face this. And I think that's also really helpful.
Oh, I
And watch
love
the
that.
video.
So
It's
you connect people like a buddy kind of situation.
Yeah, we have a peer support network, a huge one. There are 40,000 women in the peer support network. But not all 40,000 would be the right for fertility.
Right.
But there's enough of a age groups and that are going through this process now, and who want to share their experience with others. And I think they're very realistic, those who've had disappointments and those who've had tremendous success. I mean, it's a tremendous opportunity that I really believe everyone should know about. And what they decide to do with it is very personal, and we can help make that decision. But they should know the option is out there. But also to feel like they don't have to do it. They
Right.
can. This is not easy. None of this is easy.
I mean, it seems like you are a warm embrace and support and show options. And there is, like you said, no one size fits all, not one right or wrong answer. But I think, if you're feeling overwhelmed or if you have information you don't know what to do with, then you call Sharsheret and you get somebody who is going to really care and support you and your partner and your family. We are almost out of time. So I wanted to ask you quickly, is there one thing you want our viewers to walk away knowing about Sharsheret?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds cliche, but knowledge is power. And the important thing is, I think if everyone remembers the statistic about 1 in 40 Jews carrying this BRCA mutation, and that there are things we can do today to protect our health. And I think that that's something that everyone should know. So, but the giveaway, it's the things I would tell you is know your family history. Even if you test negative for BRCA gene mutation, if you have family history, cancer, and know the connections between men and women, and pancreatic cancer, prostate cancer, breast cancer, ovarian cancer. And there are options for fertility, whether you've been diagnosed with cancer or you carry a mutation, and Sharsheret could be that first call that you make.
It's amazing.
And then
Thank
I
you.
could give you the number. I don't know if you have it up there, but
We're going to have it up there. Yes. So Elana, it has been a pleasure really chatting with you and sharing your amazing organization with us and your expertise about BRCA and fertility. I want to tell our viewers that you can find Seeds of Hope on our Instagram and Facebook pages, and check out our website for information about our Faces campaign and our Cotel Wishes opportunity. Thanks again. We're going to have you back. There's just so much to know.
Yeah, I'm always happy to come back. The work that you're doing is great, and we're very proud to partner with you. So thank you.
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you.